Dr. Cindy Davis Evans with the Cindy Davis Show. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Andre Pittman with Enthroned Records Entertainment. My guest today went from the mailroom to the boardroom, becoming Warner Brothers Records award-winning promoter, staging legendary artists such as Prince, Shaka Khan, James Ingram, and countless other music legends. Meet the man behind their success, author of his memoir, A Golden Past and a Platinum Future. Welcome, Mr. Teddy Astin. How are you? Thank you for coming on. Welcome to the Cindy Davis Show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Cindy Davis. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for your invitation to join your show.
Yes, after a couple of reschedules, we finally got it together. So
Yes, we did.
I'm
And it's a
happy about
pleasure.
that. Yes, thank you. Thank you for coming on. It is really a pleasure. You have had some ride in your career. Wow.
Yes, I have.
You
Been
know,
blessed.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I've been blessed to work with some of the most famous artists in the world to
Yes,
help
absolutely.
promote and market and develop their careers, including tutoring a lot of the younger audience.
Well, let's start from let's see how we got there then. I mean, you've always been a hard worker and a diligent worker. Starting even when you were 6 years old, you had a paper route at 6.
Yes, yeah,
Wow,
paperboy. You know,
paper boy.
they don't have paper boys these days.
No, you don't. No,
They
you don't
they have a
anymore.
paper man delivering the papers. No more paper boys.
No more paper boy. That's right. That was a popular job back then.
Oh, it was, man. I was making $1 a day, man. You couldn't tell me nothing at 6 years old.
Yeah.
That was a lot of money.
Yeah, that was a lot of money. Back in when was this? Like,
Yes. Well, yeah, so that was part of my youth growing up,
uh-huh.
developing a great work ethic.
Yeah, great work ethic. Great work ethic. And so this is now we're going back to what, 1960s or 50s when you were paper boy.
Okay, I was born in 55.
Oh, okay.
And we're talking about early 60s,
Yeah.
61, 62.
Oh, okay.
That's where my book starts.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So from there you started working at the Old Hickory Barbecue House.
Yes, Old Hickory House.
Oh,
Yes, it
Hickory
was a
House.
barbecue restaurant. It was
Mm-hmm.
a chain of barbecue restaurants all over metropolitan Atlanta. So starting out there as a busboy, the busboy cleans the tables after the customers leave.
Mm-hmm.
Then as a dishwasher.
Yeah.
Then I moved up. I was a cook, and from the cook, I became the pit man.
Yeah.
So anytime you walk into a barbecue restaurant and you see all the meat cooking on an open pit, that's the pit man. That's the pit person that
Mm-hmm.
prepares the pork, the beef, and most important, the barbecue ribs. So
Gotta
yeah,
have that.
that was quite a journey for me.
Yeah. 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 And so from there you met a record executive that came into where you worked. Is that right?
Well, my friend Charles Gear, who got me into the industry, him and Gladys Knight lived in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
And he was very instrumental in Gladys Knight recording her first record, her first single, Every Beat of My Heart.
Mm-hmm.
So Charles and I are both working at the Old Hickory House. Atlantic
Oh,
Records comes along and hires Charles as their regional promotion person for Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, those regions there. So once he started working for Atlantic Records, I'm still working at Old Hickory House, the barbecue restaurant. And I asked Charles, Charles, could you get me a job? I'd do anything over there. He worked out of the distribution center, and
mm-hmm.
the corporation was called WEA, W for Warner Brothers, E for Electra, A for Atlantic, WEA. So it was the promotion and distribution center for all three major record labels. There was a big giant warehouse there over 200,000 square feet of space with nothing but albums and 45s and cassettes and 8 tracks and all the Warner Brothers movies. So I started working in the warehouse. That's how I got my foot in the door. A year later, I'm promoted to the supervisor of the mailroom. And from that point, I can see a little growth. I'm in the system, Sydney. And during that time, now we're into the early 70s. And at the time, Atlantic Records, the label that Charles worked for, had a roster of superstars that they had developed over the years. The Spinners, Ray Charles, Wilson Pickett, Betty Wright, Aretha Franklin, Donny Hathaway, Sister Sledge. So they were rolling in black music at the time. Warner Brothers had no black artists. They had no R&B music. They did have, but Warner Brothers was considered to be a rock and roll and a country and western record label. However, they had one black artist, and that artist's name was Jimi Hendrix. So Warner Brothers is looking around, looking at our sister labels and all the chart success that they were having, as well as all the records they were selling. And then during that time, you had a lot of black movies and soundtracks coming out, like Shaft, Superfly, The Mac, Superstar soundtracks that were selling by the millions. So Warner Brothers looked around and said, wow, look how black music is selling. We got to get into the black music business as well. So I got a call from Warner Brothers Burbank office. And let me just kind of say that people always say, Teddy, how did you go from the mailroom to the Warner Brothers boardroom?
Yes, that was my next question.
I started in the warehouse and then the mailroom. So Warner Brothers is getting into the black music business. They are committed to creating the best black music roster in the industry. At that time, we had no one. So I got a call from Warner Brothers home office in Burbank, California. Uh, the senior vice president of promotion at the time, his name was Tom Draper. Tom Draper said, Teddy, we're hearing great things about you.
Mm-hmm.
Getting ready to build a black music dynasty, and we want you to be a part of our staff. And I was honored just to get the call. I was the last person hired on the Warner Brothers staff. So it was the beginning of my career in the music industry. Plus, I was already kind of familiar with how the industry worked because my mentor, Charles Gear, that got me the job working in the warehouse, he used to take me on the road with him. The concerts, when Aretha Franklin concerts, the Spinners concerts, Betty Wright, all of those artists under the Atlantic record label, he would take me to see those artists, and I could see how he promoted and marketed them, and also taking them to the radio stations for interviews and other various aspects of the press. So I kind of had an idea of what a successful promotion person responsibilities was. So when Warner Brothers hired me, they said, we have two positions left, Teddy, one for Miami and one for the Carolinas, for Charlotte. You'll be based in Charlotte. Which city would you like to move to? I gave the wrong answer. I said I wanted to live in Miami.
Wow, the action happens.
Yeah, he said, well, why do you want to move to Miami, Teddy? I said, well, I love the beaches. It's close to the Bahamas. It's close to Jamaica. And Cuba's only 90 miles away. I said nothing about work. I just told them what I liked. He said, okay, we're going to send you to the Carolinas.
All right.
At the time, now I'm 21 years old, and he knew that the Carolinas, being in Charlotte, was a better fit for me than for a young man in the music industry at 21 years old being in Miami. Too many distractions. So I started my music career So Mr. Draper said, Teddy, we want you to go to North Carolina. You'll be based in Charlotte, and we want you to develop the black music market for North and South Carolina.
Hmm.
That's what my music industry began as a promotion director for Warner Brothers.
Wow. So, what type of uh hindrances or what did you have to overcome to get this position?
Well, I didn't have to overcome a whole lot because at that time I had already been in the WEA system for 3 years.
Uh-huh.
When I was responsible, when I was promoted to the supervisor of the mailroom, that's a big responsibility because my responsibility was to make sure that every radio station across the country
Hmm.
got the format of music for their radio station.
Yeah.
Me being promoted to the supervisor, the people that in the mailroom were just mailing out records, regardless
Wow.
of format. So if you're a country and western station, you don't need a rock and roll music. If
Yeah.
rock and roll radio station, you don't need country and western. If you're black radio station, you don't need top 40 music. So you need the music for your format in order to be competitive.
Okay.
So the program directors and the music directors around the country was calling Warner Brothers and saying, "Hey, we're finally getting the music for our format. What did you guys do?" They said, "We hired a young man by the name of Teddy Astin. He's the supervisor of the mailroom." They said, "Well, thank goodness we're finally getting the music for our format and we can compete now on an even level." So they'd already been hearing good things about me at
Mhm.
Warner Brothers. So that's what caught their attention. And so many people was talking about me. They knew that I was a right fit for the company.
That is just amazing. So they saw your talent and your gifts, and everybody was working together and they like, who is this guy?
Yes.
Let's promote him because we need somebody like that in our company.
Yes. And not only were they getting the music for their format,
Yeah.
but the music was properly packaged
Mm.
because during that time we were working with a lot of vinyl albums and 45s. So they wasn't packaged properly. By the time the radio station got it, the music would be warped. The album would be warped.
Wow.
Play it anyway. So not only were they getting the right music for their format, but they were also getting the music properly packaged that they could put on the air right away.
How were you able to package? How were you able to come up with the idea to package it correctly?
Well, it was pretty easy because working in the warehouse before shipping records out, we had to make sure that it was packaged properly. So
Mhm.
going into the mailroom, it's common sense,
Yeah.
but because the envelope was kind of like 12 by 12. So we
Hmm.
had these 12 by 12 squares
Hmm.
that we inserted into the envelope to make sure that the album stayed straight and never warped or bent once they
Yeah.
got the music. So that was another concept that I brought to the mailroom, and that's one of the reasons that I was getting so many compliments.
So when you got to the Carolinas, what walk us through that once you got that position.
Okay, well, once I got that position, I kind of knew what the industry was about. So, just to
Mhm.
give you an idea of the artists that we promoted, marketed, tutored, we began with Prince. The
Sure.
artists we started working with, we started with Prince,
Yeah.
March Day and the Time, Vanity Six, and Sheila E.
Hmm.
And with the success that we were having with Prince, Warner Brothers gave Prince his own record label called Paisley Park.
How were they able to? So a record company, Warner Brothers, uh, opened a new division within Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it was the Black Music Division.
Okay.
Okay.
And so they was able to give Prince his own label.
Well, after Prince's first album, he brought the album to us, his first album,
Yeah.
and he produced the album. Prince is only 18 years old.
Yeah.
He produced the album. He wrote all the lyrics. He played all the instruments. So Warner Brothers knew that he was a genius. He was a
Mhm.
prodigy.
Yeah.
So with the success that he had with his first album, in fact, I took Prince on his first promotional tour. And basically being in Charlotte, that was a really big deal to take him out on his promotional tour because that was his first promotional tour. But just to kind of give you an idea, Dr. Sydney, of the artists that we promoted, marketed, developed their careers, Prince, Mars Day and the Time, Vanity Six, Sheila E., Zapp featuring Roger,
Mhm.
Madonna. Quincy Jones brought his label to Warner Brothers. When he brought his label to Warner Brothers, he brought us Teddy Astin, Tevin Campbell, and James Ingram. So our roster just started to grow. Then we signed Sly Stone, Larry Graham, Donna Summer, Sylvester, Shaka Khan, Ashford and Simpson, George Clinton, the Funkadelics, Boosie's Rubber Band, Rod Stewart, Biz Marquis, Big Daddy Kane, Michael McDonald, Al B. Sure, Karen White, George Benson, Earl Klugh, Bob James, Foreplay featuring Bob James, Lee Ritenour, Nathan East, and Harvey Mason. Along with that, we signed Al Jarreau, David Sanborn, the Isley Brothers, Joe Sample, Rose Royce, Frankie Beverly, Jennifer Holliday, Keith Washington, Atlantic Star, Jasmine Guy, the Force MDs, Club Nouveau, and the Tom Tom Club, just to name a few. So
You
artists
can't
were
name a few. That is amazing roster.
yes, and we not only were we able to break a lot of black artists and bring them into the music industry, but we also crossed over a lot of music from the pop market to the black market, such as
Mhm.
Rod Stewart. Do you think I'm sexy? Madonna started at Black Radio. Leo Sayer, Michael McDonald. When Michael McDonald left the Doobie Brothers, he came to Warner Brothers. So all of those white artists, we developed their careers to the urban black market as well. So we were on fire. And we were
Wow.
number one record label for years, developing those careers of those artists.
Did they come to you or did y'all go out and sign them?
It was a combination of both. You know, just like for instance, if you had the manager for James Ingham, he may say, "Hey, I know this kid by the name of Albie Shore. You guys should take a listen to him." If
Okay.
you had Michael McDonald's, if you were Michael McDonald's manager, then you can recommend other artists. That doesn't mean that we would sign those artists, but we also had an A&R department.
Yes.
Our
Okay.
department was primarily responsible for bringing new artists to the label.
Tell us about how you promoted Prince because Prince was so shy. And how were you able to get him out into the public? You were very instrumental in exposing Prince when he was first came out with his first album.
Yes, and I'm so proud of that moment because on Prince's second album, he thanked me
Uh-huh.
for helping develop his career, starting with his first album. So Warner Brothers was always sending out new music 2 or 3 months prior to the albums being released. So when I heard the Prince album, I asked Warner Brothers, I'm like, who is this singing soft and wet? They
Mm-hmm.
said, that's the artist that we developed, the artist that we signed, his name is Prince.
Mm-hmm.
The release going to be coming out. They say it's coming out in October. I said, I would like to get Prince, have Prince come to Charlotte on a promotional tour. The company said, well, we don't know about that, Teddy. You know, he seems to be kind of shy and doesn't talk a lot. So we don't want to turn people off that you may be introducing him to in the press. I
Mm-hmm.
said, hey, don't worry about it. I got this. They said, Teddy, what do you need to make this happen? I said, I need 50 albums for every black radio station in North and South Carolina. And the reason that I wanted to bring Prince to Charlotte, because one of the radio stations was doing a food drive Thanksgiving weekend. They would do a
Okay.
food drive for the food banks and the homeless and people in need of food. So I
Mhm.
said, this would be a great time to bring Prince into Charlotte to help us out with the food drive because during that time, a lot of people, the food banks was running out of food,
Mhm.
especially during the holidays. So
Mhm.
that would be a good time to bring Prince to Charlotte. Okay, what do you need? I need 50 albums for every radio station in North and South Carolina, every black radio station.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do you need? We need to buy advertising at every black radio station in North and South Carolina promoting Prince's new album. And we'll tag that album, we'll tag the advertising to say, if you want to meet Prince,
Mhm.
I'll be in Charlotte at WGIB radio station Thanksgiving Day. And if you want to get his autograph, all you got to do is bring a couple of items of non perishable food. And I'm thinking we're going to have a lot of food. So I had to pick up the phone and call Warner Brothers again and say, hey, I'm going to need 2 tractor trailers. 2 tractor trailers for what? I said, we're going to have so much food, we got to have a place to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay, I meet Prince at the airport 3 days before Thanksgiving. He said, Teddy, I heard a lot about you. I'm really looking forward to working with you. What do you want me to do? I
Mhm.
said, itinerary. He said, okay, I can do that. That's not a big deal. I can do that. So, so we get to work. He gets to Charlotte. And basically, he said, what do you want me to do, Teddy? I said, this is what we got to do. He said, yeah, I can do that, Teddy. He said, I just have one request. I said, what's your request, Prince? He said, after we finish the promotional tour, will you take me to see Superman? I said, yeah, I'll take you to see Superman. That's not a problem. Because he loves Superman, a big fan of Superman.
Never knew that.
I think it was me have been the second or third Superman movie. That's
Yeah.
to go see Superman. So, Thanksgiving Day, I have Prince in the radio station's lobby signing autograph. The expressways was closed down. The side streets was closed down. Everybody wanted to get to WGIB to meet Prince. And we raised so much food. It was, in fact, I had to order a third tractor trailer because we had so much food
Yeah.
that we just had to have a third tractor trailer because two of us was already full.
Wow. Wow.
So we got the expressways closed down, we got the side streets closed down, we got the freeways closed down. So here comes the state patrol.
Yeah.
State patrol is like, what's going on here? Why are so many people trying to get to the radio station? All the streets are blocked. They said, who's in charge? They said, Teddy's in charge. He's with Warner Brothers. And he brought Prince over to meet and greet everybody. Prince who? Nobody told the governor or the mayor that a prince would be in town.
A prince, not prince, but a prince. Yeah.
Nobody told the governor that a prince would be in town. They said, where's the king and the queen? I said, well, I left the king and the queen at the hotel. I didn't want to cause too much of a traffic, too much confusion, so I just brought the prince. Said, okay, anytime you bring in a prince to town, someone like that, you got to let us know. Has to know, the mayor has to know, the state patrol has to know, because we got to be able to control this traffic. Do you understand? Yes. And he said, here's my card. Anytime you bring in someone like that to town, you call me. We can't have the expressways backed up like this. I said, yes, sir. I'm sure I will.
Yeah,
So
no one had ever heard of Prince.
no
So
one had ever
I
heard of
figured
Prince.
you was talking about a Prince. Yeah. Wow.
Yes. So, and after the book autograph signing session was over, I asked the state patrol. I said, "Will you escort us over to Charlottetown Mall to the theater?" He said, "Yeah, I'd do that because we never would have got through the traffic." So we had an escort from the state patrol, escorted me and the prince to see the Superman movie.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow.
So people always ask me,
Amazing.
I always tell people when you had the opportunity to work with a queen, a king, and a prince, you
Uh-huh.
have arrived. I worked with the queen of disco, Donna Summer.
Mm-hmm.
Worked with the king of disco, Sylvester, and I worked with a prince. So that kind of puts you in an elite company there that that could never be duplicated.
It really does. You have worked with some of the best and I mean, these people that you didn't even know, especially Prince, you didn't know that how far he would go, how
Absolutely,
far his career
absolutely.
would go.
Well,
It's
another,
amazing.
when Sly Stone, when the Sly and the Family Stone broke up, Larry Graham came to Warner Brothers.
Hmm.
He recorded "One in a Million You," which became one of the most famous wedding songs for years.
Yes.
So Sly and the Family Stone breaks up. Larry Graham comes to Warner Brothers, and Sly Stone see the success that we're having with Larry Graham. He signs with Warner Brothers. So, and I bring Sly Stone to Atlanta on a promotional tour. And one of the things he said to me, he said, Teddy, Prince told me what you did for him. I hope
Yeah.
you can do the same thing for me to revive my career. He said, I'd appreciate it so much. All of that is written in my book, Dr. Sidney. When I started writing my book entitled A Golden Past and a Platinum Future,
Hmm.
what made it easy for me to write that book was I saved all of my photos. A lot of photos never seen before. I saved
Yeah.
all of my photos. So when I started writing my book, I realized and started looking at all these photos, I realized that every photo has a story. So I
Mhm.
didn't have to think too hard to
Yeah.
write about Prince and Sly Stone and Ashford and Simpson, Larry Graham and Sly Stone and Albie Shore, Bob Marley, Karen White. It was easy because I saved all of those photos
Hmm.
and put them in my book. And that's really what makes my book come alive
Yeah.
is all the unseen photos.
Yes. Yes, it really does. Everything is nice and colored and everything, and some in black and white, and it's just it's really a memoir.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Uh-huh. Let me go back to Prince. When you heard about the death of Prince, where were you?
I was in Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
But Prince would always call me when he's coming to town. And during that time, I'm back in Atlanta. So in fact, he just left Atlanta, Dr. Sidney. He played at the Fox Theater. I think it was one of those acoustic concerts.
Uh-huh.
He asked me if I could come to the concert. I was out of town the day before the concert. So when I get back to town, they're leaving. And I get a call, man, you're not gonna believe this, but Prince has made his transition. I'm like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding. My phone is ringing off the hook.
Oh.
He became to me the most famous artist in the world. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm a fan of all music. I don't care whether it's country and western, top 40,
Mhm.
alternative, R&B, jazz. But out of all the music that I love and all the artists that I love, Prince is number one, will always be number one. Because a lot of times people just didn't realize how famous he was until he passed.
Well, I tell you, he was always famous in my book.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
When you look over the artists today, um, who would you be willing to promote?
I don't know. That's a hard question. Dr. Sidney, that's a tough question because I would really have to sit down and talk to the person. You know
Uh,
what I mean? I would need to know their thoughts, like to listen to their music, what what their attitudes are, what's their mentality, how do they come across, are they marketable? Is it somebody that I would like to promote? Do they have a budget to promote and market their music? Because it costs a lot of money out here to promote and market an artist. And a lot of artists these days, basically, they don't have no money to promote their music or their careers. But one thing that artists these days do have the advantage of is social media.
Yes.
Because back in the 70s, we didn't have YouTube,
Yeah.
didn't have Instagram,
Yeah.
we didn't have all the streaming services that we have now. Uh,
No.
so that way, a lot of artists can kind of jumpstart their careers if they have a nice uh, media following. Because you can just look at YouTube and look at new artists. You can go to Instagram and look at new artists. You can see who's posted videos on Facebook. So that tells you a lot about an artist. But I would really have to sit down with that person, him or her, just to see and evaluate, the pros and the cons of working with that artist.
Oh, wow. You said that your greatest promotion was finding your wife choice, and you've been married over 30 years.
No, 40.
Excuse me, over 40 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Why do you
Yeah.
say that? That
Well, basically, I was fortunate to meet her, and I credit Warner Brothers with that because they sent me to Charlotte to start my career in promotion and marketing. And that's where I met my wife, Joyce, of 43 years. And she just had graduated from A&T University in Greensboro, North Carolina. And she was working for a independent record label. And when I walked into the office that day, our eyes just kind of locked together. And I introduced myself. I said, "Hi, my name is Teddy Astin." She said, "I'm Joyce. My name is Joyce." She said, "Teddy, everybody knows who you are." you know, because I had set the market on fire.
mm,
The promotions that I did there had never been done, not only in Charlotte, but a lot of promotions that I did in Charlotte had never been done in the country. So I just have that marketing mind to promote and market to people and just take it to the stratosphere, take it to the next level.
what is your definition of success?
Well, my definition of success is really a frame of mind, the frame of mind that a person is in,
Hmm.
whether they're married, whether they're single, regardless of what their financial stature, and it just depends on what stage of life they're in.
Hmm.
A person is just say Prince, for instance, he was 18. By the time his 20th birthday rolled around, I considered him to be a success. You know what I mean? Because I could see just talking to him and working with him, I knew his career was gonna just blow up.
Yeah.
So, and one of the things when I started to write this book, Dr. Sydney, I didn't plan to write a book. What I was doing, a friend of mine was an editor for Entertainment Magazine, and what
Okay.
I wanted to do was I wanted her to help me write a kind of like a short bio.
Okay.
This because I was turning 65, and wanted a short bio to say when most people turn 65, they're retiring.
Yeah.
When I turn 65, I'm just gearing up.
Okay.
He said, "Okay, Ted, I'll help you with that." So when I started writing, I just kept writing and kept writing. At some point, she said, "Teddy, this is not a bio. You have a book."
Okay. That's
So I just
amazing.
kept writing. So success comes with different levels of. It just depends on who the person is. Some people may not think that they are a success story, but other people may think differently.
Absolutely.
So, but I know for myself, I was very successful with my 20-year career working at Warner Brothers and having the pleasure of working with all of these artists. After I left Warner Brothers, I opened up a nightclub at Underground Atlanta for the upscale grown folks.
How long were you at Warner Brothers?
I was at Warner Brothers for 20 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. I was at Warner Brothers for 20 years. So,
And why did you leave Warner Brothers to start your underground club?
well, basically, you know where you feel. I don't know if you ever had this feeling that you've accomplished all that you could.
Yeah,
You know,
outgrown.
yeah, in a position. So I just felt like I had reached a peak in my life where I felt like I needed something else to do, another challenge,
Yeah.
I should say. Yes.
Uh-huh. When you look back over your life and you can see the hand of God working through your life, how did God have a a hand in your success? You believe?
Well, not only does God have a hand in my success, God has his hand on me every day.
Absolutely.
Okay. But throughout my career, I always knew God was there because, even at 6 years old, when I was the paper boy,
Yeah.
I used to get up in the morning, 5 o'clock, parents still in the bed. We didn't have a alarm clock, so it just went off in my head. Time to get up. Everybody was still in the bed. I'm 6 years old, heading to the train depot for the paper to be dropped off. And to meet the paper route manager. So, and let me just kind of give you an idea of how I knew God has always been in my life.
Yeah.
So, I'm the paper boy. I'm responsible. We're building a paper route in Palmetto, Georgia.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a native of Atlanta.
One of
Uh,
the most segregated.
yes, it was very, very segregated. So, right across from the train depot, I had to make sure that the paper machines was filled up with newspapers every day, and I collect the money.
Hmm.
However, that same service station had a black water fountain and a white water fountain, a black laundromat and a white laundromat. So of course the white water fountain and the laundromat is in the front.
Yeah, of
But we had
course.
to wash our clothes there too, because we didn't have a wash and dryer. So I
Yeah.
already knew why we had to wash our clothes in the back.
Yeah.
Well as I knew that water fountain in the front was for white people. So while I'm putting papers in the paper machines at the service station, collecting the money, I look over there, I'm like, one day I'm going to get me some of that white water. So one day I just made the challenge. I went over there and I turned the fountain on, and oh man, white mechanic runs out of the bay and said, "Mr. Bradley, do you see what Teddy is doing?" So he said, "Teddy's drinking out the white water fountain."
Wow.
He said, "Okay, all right." He didn't say nothing. Mr. Bradley, the owner, didn't say anything. The mechanic went back in the bay and started working on cars. So, but the next day in school, Dr. Sidney, everybody's talking. Do you hear what Teddy did? What did Teddy do? He drunk out the white water fountain.
Ah,
What's the Bradley do? He didn't do nothing. The teachers was talking. The parents were talking. The
yeah.
children was talking. The bus drivers talking. Did you see what Teddy did?
Yeah.
So I didn't realize the significance of that, Dr. Sidney, until years down the road.
Wow.
I tell
Yeah.
you. So because back then,
It's
like you said, it was very segregated.
very segregated. They could have went to your parents and had you uh anything, had you
Yeah,
expelled from school, had you fired, but you still had
yeah,
your job.
yeah. That's what everybody was saying. What did Mr. Bradley do? Well, he's still a paper boy. So he didn't do
Yeah,
nothing,
wow, that's
And
great.
Mr. Bradley, he told me later on, he said, I knew somebody was going to black person. Mr. Bradley wasn't a racist, but it was just kind of going through that
Yeah.
period in the 60s. He said, I knew somebody eventually was going to drink out that water fountain, Teddy. And when I saw you getting closer and closer to it, I knew it was going to be you.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that
That's
was a blessing. God had his
that's
hands on me, and I knew that from an early age, and I know it today.
and so now you have the key to the city, is that right? Is that Atlantic City?
I have several keys to the cities. Charlotte, Tuskegee, Atlanta. I also have a proclamation from President Joseph Biden
Yes.
for all the
President.
public service that I've done throughout the neighborhood and across the country.
Well,
So,
congratulations.
so if people want to view my book, they can go to the website. The website is toughact.net, like a tough act to follow.
Okay, yeah. Net.
TOUGHACT.net.
Net. Not .com, .net.
Dot
Okay.
net, yes. And if you go there, you'll be able to, and if you want to buy the book, each page will take you directly to Amazon. But
Okay.
what's most important is you'll be able to see the table of contents.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you'll be able to see all the awards that I have from over the years. I have over 50 gold and platinum albums. And Dr. Sidney, I know you've seen them because you got the book there. And
Yes, I have. I have the electronic book.
yeah,
Where do you keep all those? Where do you keep all those platinum albums and gold albums and all that?
well, for years they were until I started writing my book. For years they were just kind of stacking up, stacking up, stacking up. I had a lot of them in storage, but when I
Oh,
started writing the book, I had to take them all out of storage. I had to
mm-hmm,
have a photographer to come over and take a photo of each one
mm-hmm.
to make sure that you didn't have the glare, to make sure that you had a perfect view of each album
Oh, okay.
or and a key to the city. So
Yeah.
that was a blessing. So, but I since I took them out of storage and out of the closets, I just kind of spread them out in my man cave, you know, uh,
Yeah.
where I work out every day,
Mm-hmm.
my home, and just kind of I found a place for them all.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you for sharing your story. It has been a delight going down memory lane, and I'm sure you have inspired me, you inspired others as well with your story. And I just want to thank you for coming on.
Well, I want to thank you for having me on your show today, Dr. Sidney. It's been a pleasure. I also would like to thank Andre Pittman for introducing me to you and putting this interview together. So we do really appreciate you and all the good work that you're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm a big, big fan of Dr. Sidney now. So
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Well,
welcome.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
And I appreciate all that you do. Keep up the good work. And until next time, God bless you. And I want to thank you for tuning in and watching the Cindy Davis Show. Until next time, God bless.